Huh?
You like her though? Cool.
I don't know her at all.
Have you talked to her?
So no.
Like had any?
But
the next time she goes for like, if she goes to like the water fountain, make sure you're like.
Dude, there's been I told Joseph like there's been times where I've been like really close to say something, but I don't know if I want to yet. Like that's the problem.
Yeah. I feel like it could either be like super well or super awkward.
Yeah, it's like, especially right now with everything going on.
Yeah.
Car situation, the job situation, everything. And so to add that into the mix would just be
chaos.
It could be rough.
I was still married, but like, I don't know. To me, like the way that I am, I would go up to like the girl and I would just be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Gavin. I think you're pretty. You want to go out like get coffee or whatever?" And then like if they don't, I'd be like, "Well, that's kind of weird that you didn't want to go with me." Like, but obviously, like I'll never.
You just gaslight them to think.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you're kind of weird. Huh? Like, and make them feel awkward. That'd be funny.
Turn it on them.
Yeah. But I'll never have to.
Well,
do that.
Welcome back to the Second Floor Experience, everyone. We are joined by, I would say, our first official consecutive guests.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Gavin
Stop it, Nathan.
and Nathan. Members of the OUTLNDS band. You've recently had a single come out called Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We just figured it would be good to just kind of hear about the process of that song, because it's Zach and I's favorite song that you guys have put out so far.
Really?
You say that about every song, dude.
I think
because it keeps getting better, dude.
I think for me, Take It All is still my favorite.
Really?
What about, so like, that's really interesting you say that. So like, what about Take It All?
I think I don't know, something about it just strikes a certain chord, dude,
like,
in me.
Would you describe it as like, it's like someone's commanding you to like take action on your wife or?
No, I think
it does.
I don't know. Like,
I think just music-wise, to
really?
Like
me, sonically.
Yeah.
I didn't get
Yeah,
that's cool.
I found myself when I was like singing or like kind of humming Yahweh to myself today.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I would like accidentally start singing like Amazing. It would like kind of starting to go into Amazing Grace a little bit. I don't know why,
I can see that, yeah.
but I would like get confused in my head and just like accidentally sing a few notes of Amazing Grace.
Yahweh is very catchy. I've had it stuck in my head all day. I only listened to it once this morning.
Yeah.
But Take It All to me is just, it's like, it just gets me pumped. That song gets me pumped.
Dude, I used to like, whenever we first like finalized the song and before we released it, I would always like listen back to it. And if I was ever running while the song went on, like I would get that little boost of energy.
Yes,
like,
dude.
I'd get going, dude.
Yeah.
Here's a way that I could describe it is like when you're like in front of your oven, like you have 4 burners and you're cooking. We have 4 singles. We have Take It All, Faithful Doubt, Yahweh, Heaven Abound. We're like cooking 4 at the same time. And it always felt like Yahweh was on this back burner.
Yeah,
really?
Yahweh is like almost 4 years old.
Yeah.
What?
Just like sitting there slow cooking, like it's some curry or something, dude.
But you guys have like changed it up here and there, right? Like since then.
Very. So I guess we can go into it.
Give us the story.
Go into the story. So the
Dive
song
in.
originally was gonna be an Astro and Friends song.
It was Z and Sam.
Yeah, Z and Sam like started working on it like summer of 21, I think. Like
that's crazy, dude.
Right before the merger with Freedom. Dang. Like they're in the freaking New Hope
On the Grand,
in the Sanctuary.
No way.
Yeah,
what?
when they first concepted it.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
That's actually pretty crazy.
So yeah, it's almost what? Is that 3 years?
Yeah, pretty
2021,
much.
2024.
Yeah, it's a 3-year-old
Yeah.
song. So yeah, it was concepted in 2021.
Sorry.
But we didn't really start working on it till summer of 2022. That's when we actually started like developing the song. And we got like, I wonder, I can play the original version because
the original?
We're gonna
yeah,
get copyrighted.
copyright our own song. Here's one of the original art pieces.
Whoa.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
different.
the art is also. You got it. You could also like, couldn't you through editing just show it? Like if you wanted to, like you have your own.
That's more authentic though. I mean,
That's true. That's true. Like the song, you know, being like the process taking 3 years or so of us coming back to it, still liking it, and then just leaving again and then working on something else, and then we came back to it and we're like, yeah, we still like it, and then we pitch in like we might be record or maybe a rhythm thing, and then we leave for a little while. Like that, the artwork was similar, where I would work on it, and then I would come back, and like the next update came, and just like I said, always on that back burner until now.
Just there, dude, just existing.
And what's funny is like releasing the song is like it's great. We love the song and stuff, but what we found is like, because it's been 3 years since we started, like we're not even in the same place anymore as artists. Yeah. So it feels weird, you know?
Yeah. A lot is happening in this.
Yeah, it feels weird to release that song, and it's like,
dude,
it doesn't, not like it doesn't feel like us, but it's just we're ready to move on with something we're more excited about.
Okay.
This January will be 3 years since I've been here in Austin with you guys.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
That wild thing.
4 years for us, dude.
We're past 4 years now, dude.
Yeah, but 4 years at the duplex.
It's true.
Yeah.
You gotta get out, dude. You gotta get out.
Okay, so
you guys have your bachelor's degree in the batch house.
I know. Get us out, dude.
How many songs do you guys have, like, in the concept state currently?
In the concept. Okay,
thanks to Sam.
Sam just wrote like 36 songs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Sam's always creating. Right. Sam is always creating. Like,
so
he has more than we know, probably. He's always writing.
I have 3 instrumentals on my phone right now, and those 3 songs are pretty fleshed out.
Really?
And then we have the 12 songs that Sam wrote a month ago, and out of those 12, we have 6 of them, I wouldn't say fleshed out, but like
in projects.
Yeah, super sketched out.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
Dude, I'm pretty pumped for The Great Divide, bro.
Should I leak it right now?
What's crazy is like
I'm pretty pumped for that song.
What's crazy is like that's not even like what we're most excited about.
Really?
I'm gonna speak for myself.
Yeah.
I'm more excited about what we've got, like the other songs that
honestly,
Nathan was talking about.
Same.
Would you say that like it goes through stages where you get really excited about a certain song, and then once it actually takes the time to get developed, by that time you're kind of like, this is a good song, but you lose like that freshness of excitement for it.
For sure.
Mostly.
Like Faithful Doubt.
Then by the time it comes out, you're like,
I wanted Faithful Doubt to be done like for months before it was like actually done.
That was another one, right? That y'all had for a while.
Yeah. We had that one before we even moved down. Like I remember Sam singing that song to me, like at freaking SAGU.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
So the last time we talked, okay, so when we had you and Sam on, that was the whole Crystal Lake arc had already finished, right? Like you guys were out of Crystal Lake by then. I'm pretty sure. Right?
If you're pretty sure, then I'll roll with it, but I'm not sure.
I'm trying to think. When did that happen?
I think you were.
Okay.
I think it was like right after we left.
Yeah. So
I think Sam was still in that mode of like, we just left like he said it weird, it was like a business venture. We just left
it must have been right after Easter then, right?
So from that period till now, like, how's the journey been?
It's been hell, dude.
Really?
It's been the shadow realm.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
okay, so for people who don't know, give them like an idea of what you guys are and what you're trying to do, so people have an idea that like never heard of you before.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Before you answer, I think you're gonna get a different answer from, like, if Sam was here, you'd get a different answer from all three.
That's okay.
Of us.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Like who we are as a band, or like.
Yeah. Because we're talking about things that other people need context to.
True. We're OUTLNDS. We're a band here in Austin. Been here for 4 years now.
What kind of music would you classify your music as?
So everything that we have out right now, alternative worship. But now Yahweh's the last of our worship stuff.
I told so I'm in a family chat with my family-in-law, and I shared the link to Yahweh, and I literally said, you guys should check out the song that released. It's our last song as a worship group. You guys should go check it out.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's the last one. but our songs are still gonna be very like rooted in our faith.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be more accessible to people, especially accessible to people in Austin.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
and-
faith undertones.
Right, but so
Yeah.
so like explain to people why it's so important to you guys to be playing music in Austin, to be writing music
Well,
that
can I say
relates to
something?
people in
Yeah.
Austin.
So Nathan and Sam might disagree with me, but I felt like we were creating like what we thought we should create.
Mm.
Like oh, like we're Christians, right? So it should look this way, like directly from scripture and like like straight on radical Christian and
like blatant worship.
like I think of Take It All when I think of this as like we're commanding you to sacrifice
Yeah,
to
okay.
the mission and fulfill it, and we were just creating like this is what Christian version of Gavin would create, and this is what Christian version of Nathan would create, and so on. But like it's not us. God didn't make us to be Christian versions of ourselves, So
for me,
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
see, I totally you would disagree, yeah.
For me, that was like at that time, that was like my like true and authentic version of my creative self, because it was like almost like a overcorrection of what we were doing with Astro and Friends, where we were hiding our faith with that.
Gotcha.
So coming into Outlands,
Mm-hmm.
we were like, all right, we're just going to be super upfront with our faith.
And to think about it, it may not even be noticeable to you guys or to even literally anyone else. It might even just be us. It's just a mental thing,
Yeah.
an internal
Yeah.
thing where it's like, this is what this means to us, not this anymore. And it just, that matters that much, where it's like,
Yeah.
it makes it that much more enjoyable for us to create.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
But to me, that's everything,
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like either route you choose, like as long as you guys feel like you're creating what you want to create rather than what you think you should, like what other people are gonna like, whatever,
For sure. Yeah.
then that's what matters.
Yeah.
I think y'all's level of production and music is now to the point where if Yahweh came on like a random smart shuffle on Spotify, like I would not be able to know like the difference between that and another like crafted song by like a popular artist or whatever. Like
Heck
it
yeah,
would
dude.
it really genuinely would pique my interest. I'd be like, what the
Yeah.
heck is this song?
Yeah.
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 Genuinely, I'm not just saying that
Yeah.
because y'all are my friends, but like you've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, you've been in the arena for so long that you've earned your skill. I feel like
Yeah. for sure.
you've really earned your skill. And
For
if you
sure.
think about it, like how long would you say you've been developing your skill of being a producer, Nathan?
Like seriously?
Yeah, like 4 years, 6
I think
years.
5 since 2019. Because before that, it was all just like hobby
Yeah.
stuff. I didn't take it seriously until
Right.
like summer of 2019.
So I look at it like in terms of school, where it's like if you've been working at that for 5 years, you're like, you have your bachelor's degree in producing, and you're like halfway through your master's right now. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
in a master's degree, you really start to like hone
Hone in on.
your what you're studying, and you start to become very, very good at writing papers. Like all the things that you've been doing, you hone in on it, and you're more and more like kind of focus groups and stuff like that. And so I can see like the master type level of
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
coming out of you guys now.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been for you, Gavin, but probably
Yeah, I mean, I
kind of a similar timeline.
like as a kid, just drawing and stuff. I don't know if I would count that, but when I graduated high school, I kind of just I started messing around with art and just realizing like I can express myself this way. Like that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
And so the only person I had in my life who was an artist was my uncle, who
Right.
did like the abstract stuff.
Mhm.
And so for like 3 or 4 years, my entire style just mimicked his because I didn't even know who I was, but I just liked expressing myself that way. And then it took, so like I said, for 3 or 4 years, I painted like abstract. And then for another 3 or 4 years, I literally was like, I need to find myself. I need to find who I am. And that took 4 years of just, is it digital stuff? Is it animation? Is it realistic stuff? Is it, do I like Halo? Or what do I want to do? What do I want to create? It took time and hours and
Do you,
balancing
do you feel like you figured that out?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like people often don't give themselves enough time or space to figure out who they
For
are
sure.
in
I think
their
they-
different
for
respects?
sure.
Yeah, like it's like shredding water. Like if you don't figure it out in the first like 5 minutes, you're like, what if I don't figure it out? Like-
Okay, so if you feel like you figured it out, like what did it take to figure that out exactly? if you could like pinpoint it?
I think time, obviously, just time and hours, and I think you have to love it and have a passion for it. But when I look at my own work, I'm like, do I like it? And I think that's like the most important thing. When I look at the end product, do I see myself in it? Like that's another test. And I just love it. I love what I'm creating, and like if I don't love it, then I'll just scrap it. To be honest, and it took a long time because I'm definitely, you guys know me, I overthink a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can, that translates into my artwork too. So for me to say that's a big deal.
Yeah, true.
I don't think there's ever like a clear moment of like, oh, I've got it now.
Yeah.
I think it's a gradual process of just being confident in what you're doing.
Think about it. In what other aspect of life do things work out linearly like that, where it's all perfect?
Yeah, right.
Our lives are pretty messy. Like pursuing something like this is gonna be messy too.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I resonate a lot with that, with business specifically. Like I remember being in art class in high school and like listening to all these business podcasts and real estate podcasts and stuff, and being like really developing the mind that I had, and then trying to figure out, but like, oh, like what do I want to do? Like I wanted so bad to like get in the arena of business. And so I had a slew of like these little failed side hustles, right? And throughout high school and college, and each one of them taught me something, like how to build a website, how to get a domain, like how to develop a product, how to do this and that, right? And then it's like my current business, I've been in for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I feel myself getting to the point where it's like, wow, I started in sales, project management, worked my way up to like hiring, training, managing, firing, and then marketing. Like you kind of worked my way up through the skills of business, like the skill tree of business. And like now I'm managing. And so I can look back now on the skills that I've gained and be like, wow, I can really quantify that growth of like, these are things that these are skills that I've gained, and things that used to be really difficult and scary and take a lot of energy now feel really easy because I've gone through that.
I definitely feel that, like, especially when you have that and it's quantifiable, and then all of a sudden you start having success too. I've definitely have reached the point where it's like, I can feel if I didn't have like Christ in my life, I feel like I would, like every other person who gets success or everything that they ever wanted or whatever it is, they like literally like just go down the drain, or they just lose everything apparently, or they lose their minds, and because they thought everything that they were pursuing was going to fix everything, and it doesn't. And then you're in that, and
100%.
So I definitely have been feeling like I should be feeling that way, but I don't. So it's been good so far.
Good.
But I feel like I should be feeling that way.
Can you talk a little bit about what it was like for you getting your project recently?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it, but no, I don't. But
I mean, like as an artist, just in general.
I was really scared, to be honest.
Like imposter syndrome?
Yeah, for sure. I already critique myself enough, and then like having like 15 people at once critique it in front of you.
Yeah,
just
it's
like
pretty
critique
daunting.
critique there, and I'm sitting there trying to like jot down notes and get them what they want. It was definitely a trip. I don't have any fear anymore.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah.
Definitely got some more strengths like through it, and it was fun. I try to just have fun with it. Really, that's all.
So going back to like what you were saying about this is like the last like explicit worship thing.
Yeah.
So why the transition now?
The church failed us, dude.
Well, it feels like that's
high key.
But why does
high key.
Why does that feel like that's bad news though? That should be good news.
No, I'm not saying.
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying.
Oh,
it's bad
okay.
news. But like, if you're listening, you're like, oh, they're not Christian anymore, or they're not a worship group. Like, I feel like they need to try to like look into it and have a better understanding of like of like using your work to worship God. Like if we're good at music, we're worshiping God with our music because we're good at music, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be explicitly like religious and like over the top to the point where it's scaring away people. you know?
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of people believe, that like, oh, well, if you, quote unquote, leave the ministry, then you're not really doing
ministry
anything,
anymore.
right? But it's like as
Give us
Christians,
your jersey if you're gonna walk away.
as Christians, we're called to full-time ministry as soon as we're saved.
Yeah.
And so like what I'm trying to get to is like you guys are being very specific in a mission to impact people through your music
Yeah.
because you know that your faith is going to be in there no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very real thing too, that like when you make explicit like Christian music, it gets put like it gets put
box.
in that like
You also
Christian music genre box.
You also
Yeah.
lose
So-
yourself when you do that. You lose.
Yeah.
You lose like. I don't know, how would you
Creative
say it?
freedom. It's like
Well, like if you make a song like that where it's like explicitly Christian, it's like I feel like it would be really hard for me to find like who created that in it. Like, does that make sense?
like the identity of the
Yeah,
creator.
If your identity is like, this is what God wants me to create, right? Instead of just
Yeah.
worshiping God with what He's given you.
With what? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It seems like a lot of times with Christian music now, it's like the genre has like a cookie cutter song.
Like it's a script.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like they all sound relatively the same, and you have like a few that kind of venture out, but then like if your song gets put in that box, then you're gonna have a very limited audience.
And scripture doesn't say
So-
music. It doesn't say like like that. They're doing something right there. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And
Like
Yeah,
and when we first started Outlands, we wanted to change that mold. Like our
Yes,
main thing
yeah.
was, all right, we're gonna make Christian music, but we're gonna make it different so it doesn't fit in that mold. And I think we like successfully did that. But after 3 years of trying to like push it to churches and be involved in that scene and getting turned down every single time, we were like, all right, like,
I would accredit like the church in like the time like I would accredit the church you know what? As one of the reasons why we haven't had much movement.
Yeah.
yeah,
To be honest with you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Because there's this like innate pressure to feel like we have to go through the traditional church model to achieve this God-given desire.
Yeah.
And it's just not true. It's just not true that that's the case. And I think that you're right, Gavin, that because we have tried to do that, it has given us clarity of the direction that we should go in now, which is to the world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bringing that to the world in a non-traditional and creative way that inspires people, that hopefully they would see through the creation of these types of things, they would see Christ
Mm-hmm.
in our work.
yeah.
Right? And that
Yeah.
would create opportunities for us to talk about our faith.
Yeah.
That maybe wouldn't happen through a traditional ministry.
Yeah.
I think a band that does that really well is Colony House.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like they're one. Yeah, you can. I mean, they're like an indie rock band.
They told me they're like the Christian Bad Boys. I've never heard of them.
Oh, I mean, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. I've never heard them before. I should
But
check
they,
them
I
out.
mean, they're like legit, and they're
Yeah. When we saw them, dude, they were
they
freaking
brought the
rocked.
house down, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
What genre are they?
indie rock.
Indie rock?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so they're the same. Like they're not. If like the average person that's not religious or whatever listens to their music,
Mhm.
it's not like I don't know. Like you won't immediately catch like these Christian undertones or whatever. But if you are a person of faith, like you definitely
You'll catch it.
like, oh yeah, okay, like I know what he's talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they like ride that line really well, I think.
That's why I really like Paul Meany / like Mute Math.
Yeah.
Mute
Math?
Yeah.
They're Christian too?
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah,
crazy.
dude. Yeah, Paul Meany is like
Did you show
the...
Mute Math?
Huh?
Did you show Zach Mute Math?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I never
No,
did.
I've known them for. I mean, I've only know like a couple of their songs.
Gotcha. Okay, my
but,
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gavin put me on Mute Math.
Oh, really?
I'm not trying to say- I'm not
okay,
saying-
okay.
Taylor-
Oh, there it is.
I didn't know if
Um,
you knew about him.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
That's really
I mean,
cool.
I listened to them when I was like in high school,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
just like one or two songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like all their songs have Christian undertones.
Yeah.
And now that they're like not, I guess, yeah, they are broken up. And Paul Meany, like the main vocalist for it, he's doing all of his solo stuff. And he had a live stream, I want to say last Tuesday or like a couple weeks ago. And he was going through like the 2 songs that he had like just released solo. And one of the songs, if you listen to it now, you can tell what he was talking about. But like first time listening, like you would never know. And he was talking about how that song was inspired by Job. And like that whole song
Really?
is the story of Job. So when I went back
Really?
and listened to it, I was like, oh frick. Right here is Job like questioning, and this is like right here in this song, this is like him talking to God and God talking back to him.
Yeah.
It was so just like
That's sick.
it was so sick, but you would never know that unless you like really, really paid attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it's just a good song in general.
Dang.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like John Bellion is another good one,
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
And honestly, I think Sam is such a good writer that he's obviously capable
Yeah.
of writing songs in that way.
Yeah.
That's like very moving, very deep,
Mm.
but
whole-
also has those like
Yeah, the whole
theological
point of it though is
undertones.
like, I know what you're not. I know you're not trying to say like, Sam could write a song like that or like this or like
Yeah.
Math or whoever, but like the whole point of it is to just find yourself. and how
Yes,
you
no,
write.
yeah.
And the whole thing was that we were not doing that with these past 4 songs.
Yeah.
and
I
now
was-
we are.
I was doing that.
He always likes to put his foot down with
No,
that.
because I was when I was creating those 4 songs. That was like that was me.
But it
that-
takes everyone, right?
But what is it
Yeah.
then? Do you feel? Why are you so excited about this new stuff then? What do you?
because
what's the new
that's
feeling?
me now.
Mm.
So
Those
you share
4
that
songs.
feeling of the past 4 not feeling like you anymore, and now the future, like this is how I feel right now.
Yeah,
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 okay.
yeah. We've moved on from those 4 songs. During that time, that was
You.
me creating.
Yeah, same.
Now I'm not. I've gone through so much just
Yeah.
crap.
It's the evolution of Nathan, dude.
Yeah, the
And
evolution
the,
of
the
me.
outlet.
You're immature back then. Yeah.
I was skinny. I was 30 pounds skinnier.
Better looking.
Better looking. I had like much more life in me back then.
More hope.
More hope. But
So
now the
what-
stuff that we're doing right now is where we're at, like creatively and
Mm.
like as people,
You'll see more of us in it.
Yeah.
who we are right
So
now.
what about these last, like, this period of time since Crystal Lake has been, like, what caused you to deem it as a shadow realm? Like,
A lot of this too is like, this is a lot of what Sam was going through. Like he kind of changed a lot of how he was creating. So a lot of this change it's a lot of Sam, but I would say a little bit of all 3.
Yeah,
I wish he was here to like explain it and stuff. He would do a better job than I am.
we're doing great, dude.
Nah,
We're doing great.
I'm not. I stumble over my words all the time.
no, dude.
But
Same, bro.
But yeah, the writing has always been like the foundation of our music.
Yeah,
When that's where it starts is the
Yeah.
writing.
Mhm.
Which is really cool. It's really cool to start music with a concept instead of just like the technique and just like starting with a beat or starting with
Like a melody.
I think it's so much cooler to start with lyrics because you know what you're trying to express right there. Then you can match it with the sonically. You can match it with the artwork right there.
Yeah, very
And
true.
it's just. I've never worked with another band, so I can't fathom working another way. But it just works with us. It just it's always clicked.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So when Sam brings the writing, it's like we see the song right away. And now like he brought these new songs to us, and it's like that's us. And like we're just down right away. He even asked us like, do you guys want to release this? And we're like, yeah, this is like better than anything we've ever done. So
Mm.
Dang.
really cool. Really excited. I'm like more excited now than ever.
Really?
Yeah, of course. I can speak for myself. Are you more excited now?
I think we're always going to be excited about music.
Yeah.
It's always exciting to work on new songs. Like it kind of sucks to work on the same song for months and months and months on end. Like
Yeah.
low key, Yahweh felt like a chore to finish.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys.
Yeah.
I was like pulling into work this morning, and the only reason I saw that that you guys had like released it is because I was on Facebook. Like for whatever reason, I opened Facebook, bro. Because I just have like this habit of going to a Facebook Marketplace for literally no reason.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
our
a
attitude.
yeah.
there's a reason.
Yeah.
Our attitude of releasing Yahweh has just been like, let's just get it out so that we can focus
Yeah,
on
okay,
the
yeah.
next stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Finish-
saw it on like
finish
your
this chapter.
Facebook
Yeah.
story. I was like, what the
So
crap?
Maybe we should try this.
Actually, it would be different. We had a whole like, because I really pushed for Yahweh to be released because I really
Mhm.
wanted. Like, I love the song.
I was
love-
down to not even release it. To be honest with you guys.
Like ever?
Yeah,
Or
I was down to not even release it. I was like, this isn't us anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's like almost honoring your previous versions of yourself.
for sure.
Yeah.
It just has like a
yeah.
lag time.
Yeah, I mean that is why we released it, but yeah, I was definitely feeling that way.
Yeah. I still love this song. And at that, like right before we like started the rollout and everything, I really pushed for this song to be released to kind of end that season of our life. And like, this is like another like addition to why we're really moving away from like Christian music or like being involved in like
Yeah.
the worship scene, is that we had like 7 or 8 shows like in the works for specifically Yahweh, and all of them either got canceled or they just happened to be too busy like out of nowhere,
Or they didn't respond.
And they're all like faith organizations,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah, legit.
Yeah.
all
Ones we've
of
been
them.
to, people we know, all that.
None of them worked out. So when that
Sick.
happened, I was like, all right, well, the song is, we already paid Ty, our engineer, so
In addition,
might as well just get it done and like release it.
Yeah.
in addition to like we've had this new experience of like playing live in Austin and playing 2 songs that are, I guess, closer to quote unquote like secular. I guess it's not explicitly Christian, but it's
Mhm.
it's us. It's more us.
Yeah.
Not as much us as like the new stuff, but it's closer to us. And having that experience of playing live there and the acceptance we've had of just other
Yeah.
artists,
Yeah,
Dude,
like,
that is
it's
so,
something that
so crazy.
we were just like,
bro.
why can't we have this at church? Why can't we have this? Why haven't we gone down here in so long? But why can't we just get this kind of support by other believers? What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so, I told y'all
Yeah.
last week, it's so wild to think that we got the most acceptance at a freaking bar. The one place, like, if you're ever at church, you're told not to go there.
Yeah,
Like, don't
yeah.
ever be seen there.
Right.
But that was the one place we like felt like we were ourselves and we're actually accepted.
So,
It's so wild,
dude,
dude.
there's an idea that I'm reading Dietrich Bonhoeffer's biography,
Mhm.
and there's an idea that like struck me yesterday morning that I'm not sure if I'm probably going to kind of stumble through trying to describe it,
Yeah.
but in the same way of what you're talking about, Nathan, where the church kind of like really tries to put this like stranglehold of control over what gets put out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like Gavin, you were talking about how like people often judge you for like, well, you should be doing blatantly worship music, right? Because you're a Christian. That's the only way you can do good, full-time ministry, right? So we've touched on those 2 things. And I was thinking about this in conjunction with the cafe idea.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, well, I found myself kind of pushing into this idea of like, well, we got to make sure that like the right teaching is there. We got to make sure like the right stuff isn't. And I stopped myself and I
Yeah.
was like, why do I think that? Like, that's an idea that is in me from growing up in traditional church. Why? I was asking myself why. And I realized that like, haven't there been so many times throughout biblical history where the word of God and God's people and God's presence was not the dominating culture, was not the dominating force, was not the dominating influence? Like you can go down the line, like Egypt, Jesus in the Roman Empire, like Daniel in the lion's den, like
Yeah.
you can go down the line. And honestly, most of the time, the Israelites were not free. They were operating under some other type of influence.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, so why are we so stuck on this idea that we have to control what goes on in the church? And I realized that I think it comes from a place again of wanting to make sure that people aren't like led astray, right? By like teachers that aren't teaching the right thing or certain theological doctrines. And I understand that, right? But it gets to a point where it's like, we don't even trust the power of God. We don't trust the power of the word sometimes. and the truth of the word to stand out. Like, there's a reason that when Moses threw down his staff and it became a snake, and the other magicians, Pharaoh's magicians, did the same. There's a reason that Moses' staff snake ate the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
It was to show that the dominance, it was show that
God's dominance.
God was
over
most
their
high,
gods. Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that Yahweh was most high.
Yeah.
And I wrote that I think that in an effort to protect the sanctity of the word, the traditional church castrates it of its opportunity to show itself strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I caught myself doing the same thing of like, well, I'm going to try to control to make sure that the influence is right. I'm like, wait, wouldn't it make sense to allow all sorts of types of religions and philosophies in to allow God to show himself strong?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that comes from I think traditional churches do that, and they control that because it comes from a place of fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And pride.
And pride.
Yeah.
Right. And then also, but it comes from a good heart of like, well, we want to protect and want to do these things. I get that. I'm not saying that's not wrong or that's not right. I'm wondering out loud what it would look like for us to, again, bring the truth, stand by the truth, which is the word of God, and let things like Hinduism, Islam, New Age philosophies, right? Like secularism, humanism, all these things be tested against it. But we're like, no, we can't even let that water get muddled at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And out of that, you get division of people, and then people hate Christianity. People hate Christians because they get louder and louder, and they start yelling and debating, and we're right, you're wrong, and it just becomes catastrophic.
Yes.
Maybe there's a problem there. I'm just playing around.
Yeah, and what's frustrating is that when you guys say, yeah, we're not going to do blatant Christian like worship music anymore,
Yeah.
then it's almost like you have to defend yourself against this.
Like with the bearer of bad news, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, against this like assumption that, like we're not as religious anymore. Like it's almost like your faith is measured like less
Based off of
that decision.
what we're actually saying.
Yeah.
Not actually creating.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be the case.
No.
Like just because you're not fitting into this mold of literally a system. Like it's a system that's, you could argue that a lot of things about the system are good. There's a lot of things about the system that are messed up.
Yeah.
So just because you decide to go out of that system doesn't make you any less of a Christian.
Good.
So
Thank you, Zach. I'm not joking. That is real. Like,
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you guys going and playing your music. You guys going and playing your music at church. The fact that you guys go to a church, right, and you're playing Christian music, like you're playing music that talks about God, your faith, and everything, and it's because it doesn't fit into this mold that Christian music like normally comes from, then they rejected it.
Yeah.
Well, the mold's like a limitation. That's the thing.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Dude, that's why.
So you guys go and take it to a bar, and people like celebrate it, and they accept it, which is just insane. Like they're sitting there listening and accepting religious like Christian music. They're hearing the gospel.
Dude,
from you guys.
One of like the coolest things that we ever heard was when we first went to Speakeasy, and Tyler, the main bartender, after we did our
Taylor.
It's
okay.
Taylor. The main bartender came up to Sam after we did our set, and he was like, I've been here for so many years.
He said, I'm here 6 days a week.
6 days a week. And what I usually hear is like white noise to me. But when I heard y'all, everything stopped. The white noise went away and I listened.
So
That's a crazy compliment, bro.
Listened, bro.
Dude, like you could argue that's the Holy Spirit working through y'all's music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's how I see that is you're being in it literally an instrument
Yeah.
for the Holy Spirit to come to these people in a very non-traditional way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
For sure,
crazy, dude.
for sure,
That's
dude.
one might call that ministry.
Nah, Nah, dude.
One might. One might.
Can't.
One might dare.
Can't.
Yeah. I think you're right, dude. I think it is.
What is it like for you guys? Like,
Fear.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. What is it like for you guys? Like on the outside, like you hear me saying, like, you know, oh, yeah, I found my thing, I love it. He found his thing, he loves it, and like, you know, now we're like forsaking the entire way we were creating, and now we have like this new way, kind of. Like, what do you guys think? And the thing that you're trying to find within yourselves, and you know, like, how does that translate to you guys? Like, what do you think about that? You know,
I think there's a misconception that we're talking about right now. There's a misconception that pursuing something means doing it perfectly, or never changing, or finding yourself means you find yourself once.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very perfectionistic idea that's just not true. You see very clearly all throughout the Bible, you see very clearly all throughout people's lives, is that the ones that are seeking the best version of themselves and that are seeking God are constantly changing.
Yeah,
they're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And they're working on themselves. They're like, oh, you know, I really struggle with bitterness, or I have a lot of unforgiveness or hate or jealousy or envy. I need to work on this. I need to work on that. I need to work on that. And then they kind of upgrade themselves, or they're relying on God to help upgrade them. And
until they're happy in the mirror, right? They're happy looking at themselves in the mirror, and it's all good. And they're waiting for that day to come, right?
Well, I think true happiness comes with accepting that change is the reality.
Yeah.
And once you accept and expect change, and realizing that is helpful, and I mean change as in like change trying to find your best self through the Word of God, like all that good stuff. I think, to me, that is what I have found to help me as like kind of a compass of how I'm doing. And then I also understand that other people do not understand that, and they will see me evolving as me changing, and I have to be okay with them seeing it that
change.
way.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're all called to do that. We're all called to.
But not everybody understands that.
No.
Yeah, it could be like they lack the understanding, or maybe they don't have the courage. Like, we're all called to find that thing, like, to what we're passionate about, and to worship God with it. Like, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Like, you either like live a mundane life, or you do that and you're like literally excited about life because you're doing your purpose. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that is, I would argue, the minority.
I don't think it's much of an argument, dude. I think it's factual.
Yeah.
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 I think everything that you guys are, I don't know, maybe this is like kind of cheesy, but your guys' story as it's got, like, you know, continuing until now, is pretty inspiring, dude, like in a lot of ways. I think, especially listening to your song today, like this morning, I just remember sitting there at work, I was like, dang, dude, these guys, like, you can tell, just like what Joseph was saying earlier, like the work you guys have put in is paying off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can just tell, like, I feel like whatever you guys are doing, as you keep doing it, you guys are bound just to blow up. Like, you're just bound to, because you guys, the music is at that level. And to see how you guys have grown, you guys have faced a lot of challenges.
I'm just trying not to cringe. Sorry. I'm like, I really appreciate you saying that.
Seriously though, dude, like,
really
you
cool.
guys,
Thank you.
You guys,
I'm not
you guys sacrifice a lot in ways that a lot of people don't. Like the jobs you guys work, like all those things. You guys. Most people just aren't willing to live like that especially for as long as you guys have.
For a long time with little to no like worldly results.
Yeah.
It's just very few people are willing to do that.
Yes.
It's extremely painful.
For me, it's not even really like a switch to turn on. It's like, if I wasn't living this way, I'd probably like just be drunk every day, or like literally no purpose. I would just. What else am I going to do?
Yeah. That is probably why you guys have been able to stick it out, because you have that mentality.
Built to do this, I guess.
Yeah. And
You get to do this. One more say.
yeah.
You get to do this.
Whoa,
But not only-
cool with that. Where's that from?
But not only that, like the challenges you guys have faced through your music, like the rejection you've experienced through all these different avenues.
Yeah.
Right. But you guys, it's encouraging to see like how you guys have stuck through it,
I think
because there's been so many times along the way you guys could have stopped
I
and
think
given
we've
up.
almost quit 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you guys have it. Like you guys have
we're
it. You
still
guys
here,
are
dude.
sticking it through. And
The conviction's too much for me to quit. to be honest.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, how do you quit?
Yeah.
right?
What am I gonna go back to?
It's not even that. Like, it's not even the time I've put in. It's like, I don't know. Even if that was like a month in, it's still like, dude, come on. Like,
Yeah,
I would still feel the conviction.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's definitely how, like, that it's encouraging to me in a lot of ways, because when you talk about, you know, finding yourself, finding the things that you're passionate about, all those things, that has always been something that in a lot of ways, I have been like that, where I kind of, like, I would be frustrated that I can't, that like I'm not, everyone else around me seems like they're finding their thing, and I feel like I'm not really.
I felt that way before. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but what you guys are saying about like this, and what you're saying too about this like process of change and growth and all those things, like it's through that process that you almost have to find yourself daily, in a sense. You have to. Yeah. Sometimes it's a very painful process, but if you want to grow, and if you want to find like who you are, what you're passionate about, all those things, you have to be willing to just try. Like you said with your art, like you just started. It took time, and you just like drew, painted, did all these different things, but eventually you just found your way. And who knows?
And I
like,
knew when it looked like garbage, you know?
I mean, yeah, for sure, yeah. But 10 years from now, like your style might change a little bit.
Yeah,
you know? So
for sure.
Yeah.
and it's accepting that
There's also,
it doesn't have to be the same always.
Agree.
So,
There's also an issue with like, you know, let's say you were trying to find your like thing, your passion, treasure. I think the issue is like people think that like their treasure is worth more than other people's treasure, or like maybe your treasure sucks. Like you're looking around, and you're like, whoa, you know, this person's doing music and this person owns a restaurant, and like my thing sucks, dude. My thing's not even cool, you know? Like,
yeah,
but like you shouldn't care about that. If you love it, who the heck cares?
yeah, for
Love
sure.
it and get better at it, and you know, bleed for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Comparison kills everything.
Yes, dude,
Yeah.
100%.
It leaves you just rooted into the ground, just
Yeah,
in a mundane state.
very true.
I feel like you can't force any of it. You can't force a passion, force a love for something. It's got to just come naturally. Like I never chose music. Like I've always been like creating stuff in my life, and I just happen to be doing music like right now. I never set out to do this. It kind of just happened. Like
For me, it happened when I was bored. Like Sam left, I had nothing, I had no friends. Like it just took time alone to literally be like, maybe I'll try this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what it started with.
I was making like
Sorry. Bleep it out.
No, I was trying to
funny.
figure out how like back in my
Okay.
life I wanted to go. Like I started making like Lego stop motion like
That's right, you did.
Videos.
You did,
I
yeah.
thought about incorporating that into our content. With my, honestly, we could.
I think it'd be cool
sick.
if I got back into it. I'd
Let's
be
do it.
down. But like
That'd be kind of sick.
that innate desire to like be creative and create has always like
Yeah.
been with me. And that could be like because my parents are very creative. My siblings are very creative.
Do you think that would you argue that everybody has like an innate sense of creativity in them?
That's what I just said,
100%.
dude. Yeah.
Oh,
Everybody, I said that a
You
little
said everyone
back
has
ago.
a passion.
Passion, treasure. I say treasure because I'm reading a book that talks about it, like a hidden treasure inside of you.
yeah.
Everyone has that. It
Mm.
doesn't have to be like a creative. It doesn't have to be art or music or like
Yeah.
within the arts.
Yes.
But it's a thing, and that thing is like God gave you that thing, like, and you're supposed to use it and
Yeah.
live a creative lifestyle.
So
You know?
yeah, because I know you guys have talked about this a lot on your podcast, which you guys haven't.
We haven't
Done
done
it in a
it
while, right?
since
Yeah,
like
okay, yeah.
Crystal Lake, bro.
Okay, yeah. I think I was actually on your last episode
Were you?
with Joe or whatever, and
Oh,
maybe.
the little one-off.
Yeah. Anyways,
We should do one maybe sometime. I'm not really.
We
fussed
wanted to
about
wait
it.
until we got until we were able to film it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
High quality.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Cool.
Like, I'm getting a nice camera soon, so we were gonna wait until that.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, creativity, right? Like, so this is something you guys have talked about a lot on your podcast. What do you think? Because there's a lot of people will have like a friend or they'll know someone, and it's like, oh yeah, they're just a really creative person or whatever, and as if like they're also not. But if you believe everybody has like some sort of creativity in them, like for someone who doesn't think they have any sort of creativity, how do you like inspire that in them, do you think?
Or
I
go
think
about finding it.
I think it could be like
Yeah.
they could like do something and like not even realize that they're being creative. Like I think so many people like look super linearly and it's like, yeah, I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm not creative.
Yeah.
I've heard that like so many times. Like they
Yeah.
just relate it to drawing or music
Yes.
or pottery, right? And it doesn't have to be that. It could just be like a thing that you love and you just
100%.
you like lose time in it or you skip a meal because you're lost in it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, entrepreneurs are
You got to be very creative with that.
yeah, extremely creative.
I think it's just they're not thinking about it right. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
I think
Yeah.
just like how worship music is put in a box, put in a mold, the word creativity is usually only associated with like art or
yeah. The
music,
arts.
but no, like in actuality, it's super broad. It's everyday life.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I feel like if you're working a 9-to-5 job
Yeah.
and you devise like a system
To make
that
it
works
easier.
better,
That's
it's like more
that's
efficient. You
creativity.
created that
Creating
system.
is like following an example, man. Like we're just mimicking, not mimicking God, but like following His example. We're creating.
True, yes.
Yeah.
We're artists.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why I think it's like it's such an innate
Mhm.
trait in us because
Or feel so natural to some of
yeah,
us.
it's like what did God do before we existed? Like He created.
Created.
But also,
So-
I mean, you could attribute it to a bunch of stuff, like like a school system that forces you to learn one way, or
Yeah.
kids who are maybe they're in a sport and they love it, and all of a sudden they're not the best and they quit because everyone bullied them.
Yeah.
It could be anything. I don't know. Have you guys found your thing? Like, what's your passion? And if you haven't found it, you shouldn't freak out. Like, the journey is an exciting journey to find it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You look like it. It's been going great.
I mean, I create through business. I get very passionate about creating systems and figuring out creative ways to solve problems for people
Mm-hmm.
that involve giving value in return for money. And I always knew that I wanted to do that. I always knew I had a passion for it. But I really wanted to figure it out because I wanted to eventually incorporate that skill with something like we're doing now, which the main thing would be community interaction and community building through like a creative and fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I needed business skills to make that happen. And that was probably going to come first. And so doing the fencing thing has been very humbling because it's a very creative type business model. It's very much cookie cutter. There's not a lot of innovation.
Also, you may be dealing with people that you may not even want to build relationships with.
That's 1,000%.
So you're getting
There's
every
a lot
taste,
of-
every flavor.
Yeah, there's a lot of practice with being like, oh, I really would never talk to you
For sure.
ever, but I have to serve you. Like I literally have to serve you. I've been on my hands and knees in someone's driveway, sanding their concrete driveway
Heck yeah.
because my supplier scratched their driveway with rusty forklifts.
Yikes.
Dang.
And when you do that, you realize that you're really not above anything. And I needed to go through these past 3 years to really like solidify that dependence on God, and that I had like a little bit of pride about like, well, I'm going to do this cool thing and I'm going to show everyone that I can do da 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 da. and I'm going to be really passionate about it. It's going to be great. It's going to change the world. And then God showed me how much I need to depend on him for that.
I wish more things did that to us.
Your camera's off.
Of course.
Yeah, we're back.
Did when you were at SAGU, did you know that time that you wanted to kind of do business? Or?
Oh yeah, I've known since probably my like freshman year of high school.
So what made you choose religion and philosophy for your degree?
That's a good question, dude. Because I knew that I would hate doing a business degree. I knew that I would I knew that the kind of creative entrepreneurship I wanted to do could only be learned by hands-on training.
Yeah.
So that's why I started my own little fence contracting company and just started like trying to sell fences, because I knew that if I would just get in and I would just get my hands dirty, that eventually that would lead to something else, that would lead to something else, that would lead to something else, that would lead to me like learning genuinely high value entrepreneurship skills.
Hands-on skills.
And that's what led me to where I am now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to study religion and philosophy because I knew that I was also really, really passionate about apologetics. And I wanted to understand how to communicate that better. And in order to do that, I had to understand it better, because I knew that someday God was going to bring those two things together somehow in like a really unique way. But I have never really seen it done in the way that I felt called to. But I just knew that like in order for that timing to line up, I had to apply myself to studying religion and philosophy. And then I had to apply myself to some type of business and stick it out. Because it was through those two things that I would learn the skills and I would develop as a person to the point where I could handle like whatever the synthesis of that would be.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating because people were like, well, what do you want to do? And or how, like, why are you getting a religious philosophy degree if you want to do business?
Joseph seems confused with his entire life.
Yeah, like, just doesn't make sense. And like, don't you know that you can only become like a teacher or a professor with this degree, or you can maybe be like an associate pastor?
They
And I was like,
they didn't have the vision that you had.
I was like, dude, I don't want to do any of those things.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, I just had to go through that.
I would share your same opinion when it comes to arts.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to go to school for art, college, anything. I think it'd be a waste of time.
If you're going to school for like art or music, you are wasting your money.
Money. Yeah.
You can find everything that you need on YouTube.
Yeah.
/ just practicing.
YouTube, and there's
creating.
literally artists out there who drop for like $1 for free, for $5, $10 maybe, just tutorials or assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, like, the community is so awesome for art. Like, you can message people, hey, how did you do this? Oh, I did this. I'll send you a screenshot. Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just build a community.
I mean, you're exactly right. I consumed thousands of hours of YouTube podcasts, like audiobooks on like the fundamentals of business.
Yeah.
But then I knew that wasn't going to be enough either. Like, you got to get in the game of whatever you're trying to learn.
For sure.
You have to, and you got to be willing to suck and take in people's advice and learn from successful people, because success leaves clues. And if you're not willing to do that, then be okay with not being good.
Yeah.
Ever.
Until you are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you're not willing to go through the period of not being good, then you got to be okay with never pursuing your passion.
I mean, what a sucky journey it would be without any sacrifice. You know?
Yeah,
What kind of
I mean,
story would that be?
What's the point of being successful if you can't talk about the sacrifices you've gone through? Like,
They're interconnected. There's no way you can get success without sacrifice.
Well, and exactly, and you wouldn't, even if you could somehow, like, even if you hit the lottery or you did, like, it's not as fulfilling.
Yeah.
The way that we're wired.
I think God
as
just made it
humans.
that way, man.
It's
Like,
just like we're not as
sacrifice is supposed
fulfilled.
to be part of our life.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's
And
why
no one wants to do it.
Me and Gavin are gonna live a whole life of just sacrifice until we're 90.
He told me that. He told
90
me the same
years
thing,
old,
yeah.
dude. 90 years old. Still doing favor.
Yeah, dude. You guys are making millions on all your albums, but you're still working those
Still
favors.
serving
Still living with you.
Serving the community, dude.
Still at the bash house.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like, would you say that like going to school for a business degree is a waste of time?
Well, he didn't.
Probably.
Like, he wanted hands-on stuff. That's what
I would say that if you want, it's much better tailored for a corporate career.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're looking, like, if you know you're going to go into some kind of heavy corporate career, getting your MBA, like going to school with a 5-year plan to get your business degree with your MBA is a very good payoff.
Okay.
Because you could go get a job and you could make more than enough money to pay off any debt you take on.
But as far as like entrepreneurship,
yes,
not like
because
not very helpful.
I wanted to learn the skills of how do you make out of the box thinking successful.
Yeah.
How do you make that work? And nothing about a degree in business is out of the box thinking, typically.
Right.
So I had to like go find people that were doing what I wanted to do. Well, I had to go find people that were like doing something close to like the same principles of what I wanted. And I've been learning under them. So I kind of joke with people that I'm getting my second degree right now in business, but I'm just getting paid for it instead of paying a school degree.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's been way harder. It's like way harder than going to get a degree for it. Because you got to do things like,
there's no consequences to a degree.
Like when you have to show up at someone's house when they're super pissed off at your salesperson for screwing something and your crew for screwing something up, and you have like zero leverage to negotiate at all, and then you realize that you're going to make like no money on that job because you have to give them a discount, and the crew's pissed, your salesperson's pissed because they're not making a full commission. Like you can't learn that in school. No. You can't learn those negotiating tactics. You can't learn how to handle being like yelled at for something that you didn't do.
Well, in school it'd be like a paragraph that you read, and it's like you have a long response, and like, how would you handle this?
Exactly.
Is that really gonna be in your mental like memory?
500
like,
words.
Oh yeah, I remember what to do. You're gonna remember the person screaming in your face,
100%.
and what you said, and how you did it, and
I mean, it's the same thing with you with your project of like you getting that real time feedback probably exponentially helped you grow than it would if you had like maybe like a art teacher doing that for you or something. And that's just, I hate the term real world, but like when you have real world consequences, when you have like legitimate consequences to the things that you're doing, your brain is just like, I have to do this. Like I just have to.
Yeah.
But what would you say for you, Zach? Like what are the elements? Like I know you're not doing what you necessarily want to do right now, but like there's a lot of elements of what you like to do.
What are the elements of what I like to do?
That's what I think, because like in this conversation, you almost have to like deconstruct your
entire
life in order to figure out what you like, and then eventually that reconstructs together, including those elements if you pursue it long enough. Yeah. And so I feel like we've had many conversations where
I've had too many.
Like deconstructed what you enjoy doing.
Yeah. I struggle because I feel like I like too many things.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is like...
What's the one that scares you?
A lot of them. I don't know. This is going to sound like super cheesy or whatever. But I think, because you guys know, I watch Joe Rogan a lot or whatever. And, you know, there's like this funny thing of like, oh, stereotypical dude, like just watch this Joe Rogan or whatever.
The sweatshirts, the hats, right?
It's not that serious. But something that I've realized about Joe Rogan is that like I watched a video of him like a while ago, how he describes himself as someone who is intensely curious.
Dude.
And I've always felt like that. Like I feel like I'm just intensely curious about a lot of things. And I feel like that's what helps me, because I'm very good relationally. Like I feel like I can connect with almost anybody very easily. And I think that's because I find everything very interesting.
Yeah,
like
that's a good way to put it.
I can be like genuinely interested in like almost anything. So that's why it's hard for me to like choose something, to like find a passion in one thing, you know, because I love music. I love playing my guitar. I love making melodies, whatever. I love theology. I love like writing. I like enjoy writing theological papers, all that stuff, right? I love
cars.
I love like action sports. I love sports in general. Like
Are you afraid that like if you choose one thing and that one thing like consumes you, all of a sudden the rest of the stuff that you like becomes hobbies, and then down the line, then you forget about them, and it's like, it's been like 2 years since I play my guitar now because all my time sucked up in this. Like,
I feel like I get afraid of being put in a box where I
What if you thought about it like this? What if like, you know, obviously we have eternity, right? What if you like spent like this fraction on guitar, and then in eternity you go and, I don't know, you go and do podcasts, and then
I mean,
after that you do, if you think about it like that, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, for sure.
Then it becomes less overwhelming. It's like, dude, you know, like when I'm 60, I could be painting pineapples. Like then you're like not white knuckling it, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But it's all harder than that. But yeah.
I know, yeah. I think that's like I don't know, dude. One thing that this whole time of me being in Texas has been a huge part of like my self-development, I guess, because that like me being in Texas, that has been my like shadow realm, dude.
Yeah.
Like when you guys talk about you've almost quit 4 times, like I've almost just left probably more than 4 times. Like, there's been a lot of times.
Probably like 10 times.
Yeah. There's a lot of times, dude, where I'm just like alone and I just think literally, dude, what if I just leave? Like, what if I just pack up and go somewhere? I don't know. So that,
I thought about that too, dude. Moving back to Wisconsin, how much easier it would be.
I mean, yeah. So I don't know, like that's why I'm learning to be less frustrated about it though. Like I'm learning to just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And just enjoy figuring myself out.
That's really
like
cool.
figuring out what it is I like to do, what it is, kind of like narrowing down what it is I really like to do, you know? And so in pursuing that more. But yeah. It's just the journey, dude. That's all it is.
I feel like you can't put your passion in a box too.
Right.
Like there's so many different aspects of your passion and everything. I would say like my innate passion is creativity. Music is one aspect of it, but I also enjoy editing videos and doing other stuff, or like creating the escape room that never happened. Like I loved those aspects of like putting on, I don't know, like an event or something.
Yes.
So I think having like different avenues to express yourself is like completely fine.
Yeah.
Like your passion doesn't have
100%.
to be one linear thing.
Yeah. And for me, like the biggest thing has been, okay, if I don't want to feel like I'm in a box, right? The biggest thing to me is like getting out of a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
And because that will allow me to have more control of my time and I can do more things that I'm passionate about. My problem that I've had to like realize is that even though that's like my goal is to have like more freedom, I guess, and more autonomy, it was still just difficult for me, and I was truthfully like kind of afraid to commit to. You have to choose a vehicle to get you to that destination. Yeah. So I've been afraid to risk, like to take that risk and commit to a vehicle, right? To take me to that destination. And so now I'm doing this whole QuickBooks thing to be a bookkeeper and everything. I'm just like, dude, I am freaking doing this. Like, I don't care how much I hate it, but if that's what gets me to my destination, then I have to just do it. Like, I just have to.
And here's what's crazy is like, not only is that mindset what you absolutely have to have to be successful, but people don't understand that oftentimes that mindset is like cooking in an oven for years. And it's like in an oven full of like frustration and pain and anxiety and worry and fear. And it's just raising the temperature, right? And it just gets to a point, it has to get to a point where you are willing to get out of that oven, that like the heat gets turned up so far that the pain of sitting in there and enduring that heat is more pain than it is to get out of the other.
Yeah.
And you have to get to that point or you won't make it through the journey.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized is like,
that's so true.
when there's
dude.
something that's really difficult that I want to do, like even on a micro level, like calling a customer I know I know it's really pissed off. I'm really scared. Like I don't want to do that, right? I try to avoid however much I can. And so like going to sleep with that fear, waking up with the anxiety about calling them, right? Like gets to a point where I'm like, you know what? If I called them right now, I had that conversation, I wouldn't have this fear or anxiety anymore. And so that's the pain the pain just offset right there.
Yeah.
And I do it and it's done.
Yeah.
I would say also like conquering fear is like kind of addicting.
It is.
Like, it is like you like literally I'll use your like, what if they think my voice is weird, or what if I say the wrong thing, or what if I don't even make the sale? What if this phone call is a waste of time?
Yeah.
And then you just do it and it goes great, or maybe it doesn't. You're like, well, who cares, man? I have another one to make after this. I gotta just keep hammering this down, you know. Yes. And then the next thing you're like, you know, you face another fear, and
it's a compound effect. So at first it starts really slow and you don't really get oftentimes that much confidence, but it hits that bell curve eventually where you're like, you know what, I can freaking do this. And it's like your skills and your confidence kind of like hit this trajectory peak and just explode up if you stay consistent long enough. And I think these things that we're talking about are maybe not all the elements to success, but there are a lot of key elements to it that if you're missing one of these key things, it really lowers the probability that you're gonna make it to whatever your version of success is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so the point I'm making is like a lot of people would look at your story the last 4 years here, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would be like, oh, well, what a waste of time that was.
Right, yeah.
Right. But like, I think if we really look at it truthfully, it was not a waste of time. It was you realizing what it takes to get to what you want.
Yeah. 100%.
And you have to realize that you were building your why.
Yes.
Because if you don't have a good why, you can't get through the how. But if you have a good why, you can get through any how. And you have to build your why in order to even start in the first place sometimes. And that's why you find that some of the most successful entrepreneurs especially are people, and artists, are people that have gone through some of the worst lives and this worst pain in their life, because they come to a point where they're able to like transmute all of that into this extremely powerful like funnel, and they just like blast off because it's been building their whole life, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And they just do whatever it takes. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. They'll do whatever it takes to get to where they want to be. And not everyone does that, of course. Some people just live miserable lives, but
well, that's what you said of like, I'm gonna prove everyone wrong, I'm gonna grind, and like that's great, like on the outside, but like it's also a scary thing to get absorbed into, because that shouldn't be your reason or foundation of pursuing this in the first place.
Yeah.
It should be your own thing between you and God.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. God gave you something inside of you. Find it, do it. It's very simple, but like we complicate everything. So
yeah,
it's just a nice little side thing too.
Yeah, we're only here for a short while. Might as well enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or just wait until the time.
It's just a little fuel. like God's my vehicle, but the haters put gas in the tank.
Put a little fuel into it.
Yeah, dude. Okay, we can end on this.
All right.
Okay. I've been thinking about all this a lot, and I was reading. So I've been studying like the story of Jacob a lot in Genesis, right? And I looked up like what other like cross references are there to Jacob throughout the Bible, right? Because I'm trying to understand this story, so I was trying to see what other New Testament, like Old Testament or New Testament writers also thought about Jacob, right? But it led me to Hebrews. It led me to Hebrews, and so this is where he talks about, whoever the author is, they talk about the great examples of faith, right? And so let me just read this, dude, because it struck me, bro.
Hit me, dude.
Okay. So in the previous chapter 10, he's talking about suffering, right? So this is Hebrews 10:32. It says, think back on those early days when you first learned about Christ. Remember how you remained faithful even though it meant terrible suffering. Sometimes you were exposed to public ridicule and were beaten, and sometimes you helped others who were suffering the same things. You suffered along with those who were thrown into jail, and when all you owned was taken from you, you accepted it with joy. You knew there were better things awaiting for you that will last forever, so do not throw away this confident trust in the Lord. Remember the great reward it brings you. Patient endurance is what you need now, so that you will continue to do God's will. Then you will receive all He has promised. For in just a little while, the coming one will come and not delay, and my righteous ones will live by faith, but I will take no pleasure in anyone who turns away. But we are not like those who turn away from God to their own destruction. We are the faithful ones whose souls will be saved. So going into chapter 11, they continue and say, faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. Through their faith, the people in the days of old earned a good reputation. By faith, we understand that the entire universe was formed at God's command. That what we see now did not come from anything that can be seen. It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Abel's okay, I won't read all this, but it basically goes down the list of like all the heroes of old, right? Like the Abel, like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, even like Joseph, right? It just goes down the line and how they, and like just their testimonies of their great examples of faith. And that verse 2 and 3, where it talks about faith being the hope for what, like things that can't be seen, right? And I think that's where this whole journey of like figuring yourself out, you know, like finding your passion, pursuing your dreams, is so scary, because a lot of times when God brings you through these things, like you can't see the other side. Like you have to have faith. It's like crossing a bridge that you don't know what's on the other side. And you just have to trust that God is like going to lead you along the way. Yeah. And that has been something that has really that has been very encouraging to me, because it is so hard to see the other side sometimes through all this stuff.
And like what you think is on that other side might be completely different than what is actually there and what God actually has for you on that other side.
Right. And you might have some kind of idea sometimes, but a lot of times that's what makes it so scary, is that you just don't know.
Yeah, but also as you cross more bridges, it's like, there might not be anything over there, but it's all right. I'm gonna keep going. It's cool. You know? Like you begin to be okay with it. You know, it's like it might suck. It's probably gonna suck over there for a little while, but I'm gonna keep going, I think.
Yes.
There's another bridge I could walk on.
Yeah, but that was what made the heroes of old the heroes of old, because God led them through all these things where Abraham, right? Like when he's promised a son, and he doesn't have a son forever. Finally, he does. And then God tells him to sacrifice Isaac, which is to test him, and he goes to do it. All those things are just examples of just not knowing what's on the other end, but trusting God along the way,
despite it,
and knowing that's not yours. Like this art, it's mine. I can partake in it, but God gave it to me. God gave that to you. You know.
Yes.
It's not good to white knuckle it, and because then God pries it from your hands. It's not a natural thing to own.
Yes. And it's through that journey that you figure out what you're made of and who you are and who God is designing you to be.
Yeah.
So
well said.
Yeah.
Well,
right. Yahweh.
Thanks everyone for listening.
I don't think I ever finished going through how we created the song.
Things got a little scrambled, but hey, we're creatives, right?
What do you mean?
He wanted to talk about Yahweh more, I think. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think I ever finished the creation process.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Where'd you leave off?
2021, 2022.
Yeah, I was trying to plug Yahweh, and then you guys stopped me, and we've been going on a side tangent for an hour, and now we're completing that original thought.
Well, where did we stop?
In the intro.
I was gonna show I was gonna
The
show y'all the
original
first version. Then I showed
Sorry.
y'all the artwork. Then
Oh
we
my
then we cut
gosh!
on the,
Holy crap!
And then
We've
somehow my
gone an
artwork became the
hour-long
conversation.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
So the intro pretty much stayed the same, except we had this super low bass, and then you would hear Sam sing the Yahwehs. We ended up re-recording that in 2024. So we stopped working on the song 2022 because I almost quit then. I needed my break.
Yeah.
And then whenever I came back, we finished Take It All and then worked on Faithful Doubt, Heaven Abound. And then we didn't return back to the song until towards the end of Crystal Lake, like back in February or March. And that's when we completely restructured, added different chord progression, re-recorded the intro vocals. We still like that idea.
Definitely stripped a lot away too.
Yeah. I definitely overproduced it first and then almost scrapped it then. And then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna I took pre-workout. I was about to go work out, but I couldn't I couldn't work out unless I got this song figured out. So I took everything, like all the epic drums, synths, everything. I took all that out and just had like the guitars in, and then like all the ambient stuff, and then the vocals.
Would you say like currently, like when it comes to like your craft and like production, is that like something that like you feel like that's like a new thing of like maybe limiting what I'm adding and maybe stripping stuff away doesn't need as much? Would you say that's something you're kind of
trying to do the most with as little as I can. I think I still have to overproduce every song first in order to like strip it down to what's like necessary.
Great example. It never ends, dude.
Yeah.
Changing, what we're pursuing.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. It's really cool.
But yeah, stream Yahweh. We kind of care
if you
about
want
it.
to, man. If you don't want to, we're not pressed, but if you have some time, check it out.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple
Music. It's
on everything.
I think
man.
it's on everything. Yeah.
Cool.
Tidal, Amazon Music,
YHWH. Yahweh.
Yeah.
Go stream it, listen to it. You won't regret it. And then follow the Outlands on Instagram and everywhere else to hear these other songs that they're talking about when they get put out.
Yes.
And until next time, thanks for listening to Second Floor Experience. Peace.
Done.
Deuces.
Oh.
I want to talk to you. Not now, later. No, now.